Is Chulin Daf Ayin Ches. There's Hashem. We're going to be starting the parak of Voice of Esbenoi. But first, we still have to finish up Ayin Zayin, Daf Ayin Zayin. We're Ayin Zayin Amid Aleph, the bottom line. And the Mishnah said, yeah, that's what we're holding. The Mishnah said, the Eina Metama. The Mishnah was talking about a Shilya. It's not. It's going to be. We'll see. It's going to be an issue with the Gersois, how exactly this boy Rabbi Yitzchak ben Afra comes in. But the Mishnah said that the shilya it's like a skin, and it's not. And it's not even so roy lachila. So memela it's ena metama because it's not. Doesn't have tomas oichel. Yeah. Has to have a shem oichel. What happens if you have an or chamor, a skin of a chamor? Shesholkoi, they cooked it very, very, very well until it became soft and edible. Ma'u. What's the story? So the Gemara wasn't sure. What's Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka Safik? Lemai. Ile Thomas Oichlin Tanina. Ile Thomas Neveles Tanina. Yeah. What does it mean? What's Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka Safik? Thomas Oichlin. Yeah. So what do you mean Tanina? The Gemara is going to say Tanina. Thomas Oichlin the Tanya Ha'or v'Hashilya Eimitamin Thomas Oichlin. Ha'or v'Hashilya Eimitamin Thomas Oichlin. Or Shesholkai v'Hashilya Shechishkish v'Eimitamin Thomas Oichlin. So that's Mefurish Mishnah that what? That is a Mefurish Brisa that even though it's not Roy Lachila, but if it's Sholkai, it is Mitam Thomas Oichlin, becomes Oichlin, it's Mitam Thomas Oichlin. Very Gishmak. Right now, and like this Girsa, it's very gishmak how it comes into our Gemara because he declared about Or Chamor, and in Or Chamor we brought down a price of Or Vashilya, right? So it's mamish, that's the Hamshich. But the problem is that's very gishmak like our Girsa L'fanenu. But if you look in Amud Aleph, Tosis is Gers Or Sheshilka Mitam Thomas Oichlin, and he doesn't have the Girsa of or Sheshil or or what? Or Vashilya. Right? It's by us is the brisa or Vashilya imitam tumasaychim or Shoshoka Vashilya shechish v'alam imitam tumasaychim. Right? So our brisa has a brisa of Sai or and Shilya. Right? And he doesn't have or vashel shechish v'alam mutav to right? So l'chura, like that girsa, like the girsa in Tosfos, like the girsa in Tosfos. What's the hemshich of our Gemara? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have to say like this. But etzem the girsa in this brisa the fanenu is a little bit shver because our Mishnah didn't say it just said chish v'alam. The Brisa says, "Oh, sheshilkei v'ashilya shechish v'alah mitam mitam," right? But our Mishnah just said chish v'alah, right? Nothing shilkei, just chish v'alah, right? Chish v'alah mitam mitam without the shilkei, right? Yeah. So you have to say that Tosfos was geiris just in the seif or sheshilkei mitam mitam and or sheshilkei and I'm not sure exactly. And Shilya versteht sich shechish v'alam mitam mitam. I'm not sure exactly how it goes, but the Arva Shilya mitam mitam in that part of the brisa, it's taka Tosfos is geiris like our Mishnah. Sai like our Gersa L'fanenu. Sai Arva Shilya mitam mitam. The difference is that the difference between Ar and Shilya is that Ar you need shilkei and to be chish v'alah to be mitam mitam, and by shilya it's just enough to be chishev, just chishev alone. And the word is and it's mistable like that because the problem of shilya is not that it's too hard to eat. The problem is that it's horrible to eat.
You want a drink of water? Cold water.
But I want to say it like this. But the Tosfos Gersa is Ar Shesholka mitam mitam without the chishev v'alah. And that's mistaber. It's mistaber that the or you shouldn't need the chishav alau, because by the or the problem was that it wasn't hard. It was too hard. So I'm not sure exactly what Tosfos Gear says, but it would seem from Tosfos that it's or she shilkoi mitam tumaseichlim shilya shechishav alau mitam tumaseichlim. Right, something like that. Right.
You just asked for drink water? Oh.
Yeah. That's how it'll be mashma. You hear. I'm not sure exactly. What? Yeah. Okay, good. Fine. Okay, so that's that shmuz. Okay, good. Lemais. Okay. Zok the Gemara. But the shtickle is about Tumas Nevelis. Tumas Nevelis nami frekt the Gemara tanina benevlasa v'loy ba'or v'loy ba'tzamis v'loy begidim v'loy bekarnayim v'loy betlafim. Yeah, that what? That what's the shmuz? The shmuz is that nevela is only by basar, and the question is if it becomes a basar, right? Now the question is that so the shaila is if he's orcha moshe chishva again. So Rabbi Yitzchak Dafka is claiming by orcha moshe shisholkoi if it becomes basar, right? That was his kasha. Orcha moshe shisholkoi ma'u, and the Gemara wants to declare that maybe it's negei benegei tumas nevelis. Zok Rashi, what does it mean tumas nevelis? This is a very very big nikuda. What tumas nevelis? Zok Rashi, in nase basar li choshev ki nevelis hachamor. Yeah. So the shaila is, but the pasuk doesn't say basar. Kipshute, the pasuk doesn't say basar. What does it say in the pasuk? It says b'nev lasa, v'lei ba'or, v'lei ba'tzamas, v'lei b'kin, v'lei b'kanayim, v'lei b'tlafim. Right? It just says b'nev lasa. Right? It doesn't say anything about basar. So it doesn't say anything about basar.
It's not basar. It's behemoth.
What's it going to help that you made it soft? It doesn't say basar in the Torah. It says b'nev lasa. Where does it say basar? What's it going to help you?
Rashi's not for the dinner basar.
Yeah.
That's the basar.
Yeah? This is the problem. So they want to say that maybe nevela, the lashon of the word nevela itself is mashma, something that gets ruined or something. Yeah? But, or maybe, Rashi Taka doesn't mean anything. I'm just thinking now. Rashi, maybe we could just say very simple. There's no Muslim pasuk that says that nevela is only basar, but there's a drasha b'nevlasa v'leibar v'leibatzamos v'leibegin v'leibekanayim and memela v'leibetlafim that the pshat is that nothing else besides the basar is taka asar from this pasuk of b'nevlasa miot and memela what? So memela. So what's left is basar. So that's what we mean kibasar, not because you have to have Hashem basar. The question is if it's a nichlal b'nevlasa or not. But akaponim, yeah, that's the maybe we'll say it like that. Okay. Anyway, v'amar Rabbi Bachana lenitzcha elo sha'osan tzike gedeira. Why? Oh, this is weird shver. Because what do you mean lenitzcha lemutenu davadi lav basanenu? Mechet should mechet. Oh, so it's fakir. It's before that the Gemara had the problem that the Gemara knew that nevela is only basar even before this drasha, right? This is where the kasha is, right? So what do you mean davadi lav basar? Who cares if it's basar or not, right? Weist ois that nevela somehow in the word nevela. Somehow the word nevela is shel anything but basar. What is that vart? Yeah, and l'chura, I mean, why? How do we know from v'nevlas v'lei ba'or v'lei ba'tzamas? What's the tzarashav of all these things? All these things are things that taka don't get ruined. They're not masriach. And memela, maybe v'nevlas is a lashon of something that's taka horrible, something that's nevela, something that's menavo, right? Novo, something bad, something smelly, something what's called it, and from there we learn. Even without the drasha of benivlasa, just from the word nevela itself that it's only basar, and that's you have to say such a kind of a word. It's a little bit shver. But let's go to the next step. Why do I need a pasuk? Why do I need a drasha? That what? To tell you that all these things, I would think, right? Because it's pasha that you don't have to eat it. It's pasha that it's not a nevela. The teretz is zakra l'lachana l'nitzchal she'asan tziki kedera. So zakrashi, what is she'asan tziki kedera? That he cooked it very, very well, and he added a lot of spices. He took the tlofim, right? Whoever heard of somebody taking tlofim and cooking it for a very, very long time until what happens? It dissolves and it becomes. What do they make from it? They make. No, that's from the knee bone. Where do they make? They make what? Who makes from hooves? They make something from hooves also. They make something. Anyway, b'kitzur, yeah. If you cook it for a very, very long time, it becomes it became a food. Yeah. Okay. So the Achronim are very, very fabuchav in this Gemara. Why? Because the shayla is like this: it was never an nevela when it b'shas misa. It's going to all of a sudden turn an nevela later. What's the havamina? Here we have something that when it died, it was flawed. Yeah, it wasn't basar, and now it didn't have a shaykhis to nevela, and now you're gonna make it also tzike gedera, and all of a sudden it's gonna become a nevela. Yeah, it's very shver. Yeah, what the Gemara's havamina was over here. This is a big plant in this Gemara. Yeah, they want to say maybe, but it's not much from the Gemara. The Gemara, they want to say that the pshat is that once, if there would be a havamina, that it'll be aser, so then it'll be aser always because it's possible to make it tziki kedera. But it's not mashma. He's leinitzcha ela she'ason. Yeah.
What it becomes.
Yeah. It's a big plea in this Gemara. Yeah, it needs a hezbollah this Gemara. Okay. Thought I had him help, but okay. So the Gemara shani or the chamor the mois. So the Gemara and chanami. So the churo. So what's Rabbi Yitzchak Nachman's declaring? So the Gemara shani or chamor the mois. That the pshat is that lo'ilam were declaring about Rabbi Yitzchak Nachman was declaring about Tumas Eichlin, and if you could chishav that it should become Eichlin. I to before Shabbrai said that if it's chishav become Tumas Eichlin, the teretz is he was declaring by chamor or chamor. Maybe or chamor is different because since it has besonder miaskite, it doesn't become Eichlin. It doesn't become Eichlin. Okay, that's the Gemara. So yeah, let's move on. Show you shiatz. Amar Rabbi Lezer Lishanu El Sheni Mavlad. Aviyeh Sheni Mavlad. Ein Chayshin Levladachem. That what? We're going to have two versions of Rabbi Lezer. This first version of Rabbi Lezer is like this: that the mashmois in the Mishnah is shil yishayatzasa, and a shil yishayatzasa you have to be choishish for that is a vlad, and right. But you should just know that you only have to be choishish for that is a vlad acher only el she'enim vlad. Meaning that you don't have to be choishish if there's a vlad that was left in the animal and just the shilya came out. We know the vlad is still in its mother, right? And just the shilya came out, you don't have to be choishish that there's a twin. Yeah. That Lezer is saying a kula. That what? That you don't have to be choishish for a twin. We have to be choishish that there's a twin. That is the Gemara. And it's very interesting. The Gemara is mashal like Rabbi Yirmiyah said this minatzad, but so why did Rabbi Yirmiyah say such an interesting member? L'chumra amar Rabbi Lezer. But upon him, we're going to learn from the fact that Rabbi Yirmiyah said that Rabbi Lezer was a machmir, and like our version of events, it was a machlokes Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yechon if you have to be choishish for a twin, and Rabbi Lezer is saying that you don't have to be choishish. He's the makel. So the Gemara Ella a different version. Meaning like this, that Rabbi Lezer holds that you have to be choishish for a twin, and Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan is going to be the one that's going to hold that you don't have to be choishish for a twin. But Rabbi Lezer says when you only have to be choishish for a twin, you only have to be choishish for a twin. The only way you don't have to be choishish for a twin is only if the vlad that the vlad that remained is still tied by the umbilical cord or whatever it is to the shoya. So if it's tied to the shoya, then you don't have to be choishish. But otherwise, you have to be always choishish for vlad acher. Rabbi Yochanan anu ein lanu el shoya b'lei vlad. Oh, the only problem is a shoya that comes that comes out, and we don't know that there's a vlad. We don't find a vlad. So memelu we choishish that it was nemuach aviyeshim a vlad. But if there is a vlad that's extant even in the mother's stomach, ben kshur b'vlad, ben en kshur b'vlad, en choishish vlad acher. We never have to be choishish for another vlad. So the Gemara, b'hainu dam Rabbi Yirmiyah l'chum ram Rabbi Lezer. Now it's still very geschmack to what Rabbi Yirmiyah was saying, that l'chum ram Rabbi Lezer. That what that Rabbi Lezer is the machmer over here, because he's saying that you have to be choishish vlad acher unless what? Unless there is unless it's kshura levlad. Yeah, good. Tiny kavos to Rabbi Lezer. Hamapelas. So we're going to have a raya. We're going to have a brayso that's going to say the same halacha like Rabbi Lezer. That it's going to be totally in kshura levlad or not kshura levlad. It's mamish going to be like Rabbi Lezer's shita. Hamapelas men behem b'chayvoi. If we have a machlekes in the Gemara and Nida, if the isha that's mapel, if the uber looks like we had this back, if you remember, by the pasuk of Vayitzar a lashon of tzura. So the question is, if it looks like a behem chayav oif, if she gets tumas shiva or not. So, but the Tanakh, this brayso is going like the chacham that hold that you don't have tumas. You don't that it's not that if a isha is mapel min behem chayav oif, she doesn't have tumas shiva. But Lamaisa, what happened was she was mapel min behem chayav oif v'shilya imahim, and a shilya came out together. So bisman shekshura behem, when the shilya is tied to this min behem chayav oif, so memela, like Rabbi Lezer says, ein choishish vlad acher, we don't have to choishish that there's a twin, and memela we have nothing to be choishish for, because we're going like the chacham that hold min behem chayav oif is not metame, and the shilya is kshura to this child, so there was no other child. But if let's say it comes out separately, so I have to be choishish that there's another child. I give her the chaymer of shtei vlados, meaning I'm going to get a chumrah side from the fact that from the men b'cheim b'chayav oif, and I'm going to get a chumrah from the shoyu. From the shoyu, I'm going to get a chumrah that I have to be choishish, that maybe. From the show, I'm going to be choishish that I have to be choishish for Toma, right? I have to be choishish for Toma, and I don't know if it's a zocher in the cave because it was nibuach, right? We have to be choishish that there's a vlad acher, the twin that is out, and it might be in the cave, so she has regular Toma for 2 weeks, on top of that, I also have the chumrah of mimreim b'chayav oif that have to be choishish that maybe there was no twin. It was only the min behem b'chayav oif, and loy techachamim she has no. It doesn't have a dinya ledis, and if it doesn't have a dinya ledis, she doesn't get any dam toyar. She doesn't even get dam toyar of a zachar, right? Because I have to be choishish that maybe that's the chayim shtei vladus. Shani yom Hashem ani muach shvir shel shoya. Maybe the right. I only found one amniotic sac and this one baby of behem b'chayav oif. I have to be choishish that no, there was twins. And what happened to the other sac and the other baby? Shemar nimuach shvir shel shoya. Maybe the child. Shvir is the skin of the child of the old baby. Was nimuach shvir shel shoya and shemar nimucha shel yasa shel shvir. And maybe the sac of the shvir of the baby was also dissolved. They both dissolved, and therefore and there was really twins. Yeah, let's move on. We said the Mishnah said that if Mvakeres is mappel, if she was mappel a child, so we said that you could give it to the cloth. Let's be chayshish. Since it's Mvakeres, maybe it is a bechor, and a bechor has a problem. What? What? Oh, that's my time. Ravika, Breda Ravavi, right? Behemoth Yoldis Davar Kodesh. Meaning, if it meaning something that would be our Kodesh B'Chor. Normally, it's you have something that has the ability to be Kodesh B'Chor. Umiyat behemoths Davar Sheina Kodesh B'Chor. But there is always a small miyat of behemoths that are not Kodesh B'Chor. My new nidba. That's a nidba, something that's not a zachan on the cave. Rashi says it comes from a client. V'chala yoldis mechza zchar mechza in the caves. Smech muta the nidba, the mechza muta the nidba, the mechza in the caves. Avul zchar muta, and since it's a miyat, so mainly you don't go basa. We have a roiv and we don't have to be chayshish. Now there is a lot of shmuzin over here. Legabe, the achronim are very busy with this gemara because legabe the shmuz of chazakis and sveikis. And whatever. Let's not go into it. Something more right. Ubi Mukdashim tikava my timer. Ubi Mukdashim tikava my time. So by Mukdashim, you can't give it to the klavim. Why? Because by Mukdashim it doesn't make a difference, right? Because it doesn't make a difference if it's a zachor in a cave. It's going to be kaddish either way. So my time, Ruba ba Mikdashu. So therefore, since you have a rive savad, you have to be chayshish, and you can't give it to the klavim. So the Mishnah said at the end. The Mishnah said if you Mukdashim tikaver. So the Mishnah said a very interesting halacha. That you should vein kavin noisa loy beprashas derachim v'loy vein tolen noisa be'ilam shav darkei amoiri. And we said that there's an issue over here of the Rashi's not clear because Rashi on one hand Rashi says darkei amoiri, which is outside, like the Mishnah says of on the other hand Rashi says it's a nichush. So is it nichush? Is it also out loy senachashu, or is it also out over here in this Gemara also there's going to be a pshat problem over here. So the Gemara nichush is like a superstition where he says okay. Abaye v'Ravada zoktu. Abaye v'Ravada mitavai kol over sheish by refuah ein by mishum darkei amoiri. Here's the rule: if it's yesh by refuah ein by mishum darkei amoiri, ein by refuah yesh by mishum darkei amoiri. So what does it mean yesh by refuah? So there's two mahalchim, two yisoids to mahalchim. There are those that learn it that it's Rashi over here and Rashi in Shabbos, but Rashi over here says a very interesting lashon. Yeah, but let's see the Rashi inside. How do we define what's yesh by refuah, what's ein by refuah? We would have said kipshutei. We would have said like Rashi's mashma in Shabbos that yesh by refuah and ein by refuah means that it's something that we understand. It looks like what we call in nowadays we call scientifically, right? In other words, something that we could see and feel, something we could touch, we understand how it works, and therefore that would be what's yesh by refuah. Kol davar sheyesh by refuah ein by mishum darkei amoiri, and ein by refuah yesh by mishum darkei amoiri. That's normally how that would have been how we would have tied. So Rashi over here is mashma a little bit different. What? No, but Rashi is like this: yesh by refuah kigoy mashke oisam oilachash. If he's malachish, even if he's whispering, what's whispering do? We don't know how it works. But if you're loichish alamaka, that works. Ein by refuah. What's ein by refuah? Is like Rashi. Kigoin she'oisin shloy alachayli. Kigoin kivuras shilya beprashas rachim kigoin to hem shadei melanichish. So the mashmoyis, the simple reading of Rashi is, and some Sefer learns in Rashi that the difference is if we're touching the thing. If you're touching al hamaka, so that's not good. That's yesh by mishum refuah. I don't know how it works. Who cares? But I'm obviously doing it to be merapa this thing. But if I'm doing it shaloi al hachoyli, right? Then it's awesome. That's how.
What exactly are you doing?
If I take the shilya, and I cover it by the intersection, or I hang it up in a tree, what does that have to do with the chayli? What does that have to do with the animal that I don't want it to be mapple anymore?
On the animal.
Right. So so the mashmois of Rashi is that the difference is if I'm touching the thing, it's not a question of if I understand how it works. It's not that the pshat is that I could scientifically explain the chemical makeup and how it works. The vart is the chilik is. If I'm touching if I'm touching the thing that needs the effect or not, yeah. So the Chassam Sofer is matmiya. The Gemara's kasha. Like the way Rashi over here. Let's go. So the Gemara kasha. V'ha tanya ilon shemeisir peiroisav. Or ilon that has the problem. The problem with this tree is that it's shedding its peiros. It's not holding on to the peiros. So the peiros are falling off before they ripe. Before they grow to normal size. Yeah. Ilon shemeisir peiroisav. Soikrei b'sikra. You paint it in red dye, red paint. V'tayane ba'avonim, and you load it up with stones. Sakti Umar, Beshlamatane ba'avonim. Memela, the fact that I loaded up with stones is very good. That makes sense. Ki hechi. The reason why we understand the reason why it's shedding these peiros is because it has too much shoyim, too much whatever that is, too much, and since it's giving off too much, so the stems are too soft. The memela it's losing, and that's why they're shedding. Why are you painting it? Now the mashmoyis is some say what's the most kasha? What's the most kasha? I'm touching the tree. I don't care if I understand it or not. That's correct. Some say what's the most? What's the most kasha? Lemaisa, I'm doing the tree. Yeah, that's the Chassam Sofer's kasha on this Gemara. No, so I have two little vertlach. I don't know. Both. First of all, when Rashi says before shaloich shal amaka, does Rashi mean that Rashi means to say every time it has to be alamaka? In other words, it's only that's the klal. What? Or the word is Rashi means like this. Rashi means lachash. We understand works, but that only works when it's alamaka. But that's only by lachash. By some other things, we don't understand that it works at all. And in other words, like this. Rashi means to say like this, that we have to, like Rashi and Shabbos, that we have to understand it. But we understand that lachash works, right? But even lachash, there's two types of lachash, and there's a lachash alamaka and lachash shlei alamaka. Yeah? So in other words, Rashi's not saying that the chilik is on the makkah, not the makkah. The bottom line is it has to be understood, like Rashi says in Shabbos. It happens to be that we understand that whispering on things work. Like the Agamoras, you whisper on it, you say it, and it works somehow. And that's called understanding. That's to our level. That's enough called understanding. But there is a lachash that's a darkei amori, which is not directly over there, which we don't understand. So what? Yeah. Oh, that would be one mahalach. But you could say the other way also maybe. Lo ilama has to do with touching, not touching. But it could be that Soiker B'Sikra, I don't know how we would know this, but somehow we would know that the tree and the fruit, we the tree and the fruit. That the problem is that the peiros are shedding, right? So where's the problem? Is the problem the tree or the problem is the avonim? So when it comes to the avonim, we understand that the problem is that the tree has too much koiches, and in fact it has too much koiches. That's clearly the tree. That's not the avonim. But the Soiker B'Sikra, that's not helping you on the that the tree is too hard. The problem is that the fruit are not what's called are not the fruit are not are not holding on. And the mela for the Seikra B'Sikra, which has something to do with the fruit, so how could you put it on the tree? It's not alamaka. What? That'll be another bucket. Yeah? Okay, good. So the Gemara Vayta Amai, Kihechi, so the Gemara, Anayim Pshat. You know why? Seikra B'Sikra, Kihechi, V'lechzuya, Inchi, V'liboyi, Rachem Lialuya. Kidatanya, it's a big sign. Everyone should go. Kidatanya, V'tami, Tami Yikra, Tzorach L'Idiyah L'Rabim. That Matzorah has to be L'Idiyah. Why? V'Rabim V'Vakshan Olav Rachamim. V'chei Misha Yirulei Davish, Tzorach L'Idiyah L'Rabim, V'Rabim V'Vakshan Olav Rachamim. Amra, Vina, Kaman, Talinon, Kovsa B'Dikla. This minig that we have, that on a tree, a dikla, a tidal baum, a palm tree, that's not holding on to its dates, so they would hang up a cluster of dates. Keman ki aitana, like this minig of that this was the way that they would inform everybody. I don't know why they weren't sacred b'sikra, but for whatever it is, that minig became not to be sacred b'sikra. They would be toila a kufsa b'dikla on they would be toila a kufsa on a dikla when it had this problem. Now we're going to start the sugya of Oisav Esbenoi, and Be'etzem we're going to be starting a very interesting thing in the second half of Chulin, where we have a whole bunch of parakim that are miyuchid for a specific mitzvah. The first one is Oisav Esbenoi, and we're going to have Gidan Noshe, and we're going to have a sugya of Kisei Adam, and we're going to have Shiloh Hakan, and a whole bunch of mitzvahs. So each one gets a parak, and each one we're going to Be'ez Hashem is going to have in the beginning like a certain when it's noig, like. And Tosfos and Rashi already start the sugya now. Why we have to say every single thing? We're going to see exactly where we have this. I just wanted to discuss one shmooze. What's the reason for Oisav Esbenoi? Yes. What?
Explain what Oisav Esbenoi.
So what is Oisav Esbenoi? So yeah, right. So what is Oisav Esbenoi? Oisav Esbenoi is an isser to shecht the mother and its child on the same day. Wow. Now. Is it dafka the mother or even the father? That's going to be a machlekes tanaim and amud beis. Yeah, but the Rabbanan hold it's only the mother. Okay, that's one halacha. Now, but everybody holds that it doesn't make a difference if it's the mother before the child or the child before the mother. If they're both on the same day, it's awesome. And everybody holds it doesn't matter if it's the same person or two different people. It's always awesome. Meaning, even Oisav Esbenoi is definitely so. Where are we holding? Oisav Esbenoi is
the mother and the son.
The mother and the son. Machlekes if it's the dafka the mother or even the father. And those things are l'kuliyama, meaning it doesn't matter if it's the father before the mother before the child, or the child before the mother. Which one came first? Either one is also. And another klal that's important to know is that it doesn't matter if it's one person or two people did it. Now, if you did b'vas achas, that's going to be a shmuz. Tasant. There's a few rayos about it, and it's also totally in the shtick of lumdis over here. There's a lumdish, a shayla that the achronim clear. This you'll have a gishmak in. What is the isser? Is the isser Oisav Esbenoi? Yeah, obviously it's only us if you do both. But if you did both, the isser was shechting both, or the isser was shechting the second one. Yeah, what's the ma'aser isser? Yeah, I knew you. Yeah. It's very important. They want to say teretz. We'll see. Kasha. Okay, 1 second. And what other? Oh, you say this of? So what is the? So why did the Torah ask Oisav Esbenoi? So there's a famous shoyl that asked the Rashba that the Rashba he asked the Rashba that. What's the pshat that the Torah, that the Rambam says in Moreh Nevuchim that the reason for Oisav Esbenoi is als rachmanis? That what? That an animal also has rachmanis. The animal also has rachmanis, and if you're gonna shecht the child in front of the mother's gonna have more to give tsar. So it's like tsar belechayim in the middle of the Torah. That's effect the child. So and once again and l'chura a tushtel, somewhat of a tushtel, is that the Gemara on the base is going to shtel to shluach hakan, which also seems to be that same yeah. That's the Rambam in Mer Nevuchim. But the Shoel asked him that l'chura it's not out. But the Shoel asked him that l'chura so it shouldn't be also shloi b'fanav. Yeah. Now, but so now you could say like plug. Yeah, you could. Oh. But the problem is that there are a lot of chilukim. Yeah. Shloi b'fanav would be, but in the Rajma they ask a lot of rayas, a lot of questions, and some of the questions they ask are from the kulas. In other words, like this. You could say like a light look. The Torah didn't want you to get it to it. The Ramban says such a svara. The Ramban says the Torah didn't want you to do it, so the Torah made sure that it's not going to happen at all. But the problem is that there are kulas. First of all, there's a kula l'moshel. It's not noyig b'chayis, and it's also not noyig by the av. So I don't know why they name on me svara. Yeah, but I don't know why they name on me svara that it's. I don't know why they name on me svara that the av has the same rachmanis like an animal has the same rachmanis like a mother. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. No, yeah. The father doesn't even know. Doesn't even know that he doesn't. Does he know that he had a child? It's not. Maybe if he knew, he would have it. But he knows. He knows this is his. I don't know if he knows. I don't know. Okay. But anyway. But that's. But by Echaya they asked. Okay. So the Rajma says, don't pay any attention to the timing that the Rambam says in Moreh Nevuchim. Don't pay any attention. Maisa, it's a little bit more. It is a little interessant because there is a because the Rambam himself in Pirush Mishnayos in Brachas says it's Dov Shevita. So it's mashma klar that maybe this is more agadik. Yeah. Okay. That's one thing. But I just want to. I want to say a svara. I don't know. And I think it's a mistabadik svara saifa shloach hakan and saifa yisayis b'nai, and it would explain the difference between a zach and a keva also, and it would explain also why it has nothing to do with b'fanav shlei b'fanav. There's a certain concept. I mean, at least we always have such a concept of preservation. The pshat is you don't want to kill out the whole min. Don't just be mashless the whole min, right? So if you do 2 generations, that's like such a tremendous hashchasa. That's a tremendous hashchasa. We leave now. Obviously, they're both meant for food, so you can't what's called it. You can't you think that's too high to start svara? It's not a Torah to start svara of. I don't know. Okay, anyway, we consider numbers. That would explain the mother, it would explain why it's the same day, and it would explain there's one last nakuda, that's one last hakdama, which is negeh for Yisrael Benoi, which is that it's mavur, and this is, it's not clear where, and this is we're going to see from Ram Shif, a chiddush pshat in the Gemara, that besides the Isser to Shecht, B'negeh kachim, it becomes, it's not a psulin kachim. It becomes a psulin kachim. Yeah. Besides the personal love that you have of Oisves B'nai, it becomes a mechusas man, and it's a psulin kachim. Yeah. Which you could have said, it's right, it has no shaykhis to the animal, has no shaykhis to the kachim. The Ram Shif wants to say, when the Gemara declares, how do I know that Isa is noyig b'kachim? And Tosa says, what's the havamina? Why should it make a difference, kachim or not kachim? So to Ram Shif, the teretz is this shayla. Avada, the lav is a lav, and it's going to be noyig, but how do I know that it's going to be like b'muchas azman? That's the Gemara shayla. Yeah. Oisa ves b'noyig b'bein b'aretz b'bein b'chutz la'aretz. So Rashi says that the bein baritz bein b'chutz la'aretz is not, we don't have to say, because it's pashut that it's noig bein baritz bein b'chutz la'aretz, because it's not what's called it, it's not it's chayv saguf. But we said it agav. We're going to say it agav the next thing. That what we want it. We have to. We want to say that it's b'chulin miktashim. So we say bein baritz bein b'chutz laretz. That's what Rashi says. Now, why do we have to say b'fnei abayis shloi b'fnei abayis? That the Gemara later on is going to discuss why it has to say b'fnei abayis shloi b'fnei abayis. So again, we say three things. We say that it's bein baritz bein b'chutz laretz. That's agav b'chulin miktashim. B'fnei abayis shloi b'fnei abayis. The Gemara later on is going to explain, and b'chulin miktashim. That already the Gemara is going to discuss. That's how Rashi explains the Gemara. Okay, so the Gemara Kate. So it's oisay ves benoi. So now agavocha, I'll just tell you the Hagdama, and this is going to be a shverkeit that the Achronim asked, that this the variables are, we have chulin, and we have mikdashim, and we have bifnim, and we have b'chutz, right? So how many different mixtures could you get of that? Both chulin, both bachotz, both chulin, both b'fnim, both, right? All different variables. So what are the variables you could come up with? We really should have. Really, the Mishnah should discuss 16 options, because there's 16 options, right? There's 16 ways of mixing it up. Wait, right? But right? If you could do chulin or kachim, chulin b'fnim, chulin b'chotz, right? And kachim b'fnim, kachim b'chotz. So there's really, you could mix it up. We'll see. There's really 16 options. The Mishnah only discusses 12. The Meiri is ma'ir, this thing that the Mishnah only discusses 12. But okay, anyway, the kitzah. So two oisay ves benoi, both of them are b'chotz. Is shneim ksherim. Right? Shneim ksherim, v'asheni soifik is haboyim. So why does it have to say shneim ksherim? What's the havamina that there wouldn't be ksherim? So Rashi right away says shneim ksherim, mishum seifa. Avada over here there's no mishum the word missing seifa. Shneim psulim. So mail over here it says over here it doesn't say shneim psulim. It doesn't have to. There's no chiddush in the shneim ksherim. There's a Tosfos. There's Tosfos later on Daf Pei that says that I would have a havamina that it's nichlal leisechol kol te'eva like by basar v'cholav. Memelo, that's why the Gemara had to say shneim ksherim. That's the second shot. There is Krega says Gavaldi Chiddush. Krega says that the havamina would have been that that's Yav Mahani. And it would be puzzle, and that's why it's ksherim. And there's another mahalach, the last mahalach that the Achronim say. The Achronim say, this chiddush. The what? Really a massive shtickle Torah, but I'll tell you the lumdus. It's like this. Be'etzem, you would say Yav Bahani, and Avada, it would be puzzle. Why is it not puzzle? Why is it not possible? Because like this. Because since the Isser is taka, we had the suffix. You had the suffix. If the Isser is the Isser ve'es benoi, or the suffix is Isser is just the second one. Since the Isser is both of them. And Avada, you can't answer the first one because it didn't happen, because I wasn't nessa the second one until I did the first one. So the first one was already hutar. So the only reason why it's kosher is because shneim ksherim. But if it wouldn't be shneim ksherim, then one of them would be that's interessant. Yeah. Okay, good. Right. So oh, and there's one last thing to know, which is brought down in halach, is the bahag. The bahag says that there's an issa. I say again. And the shaila is, what's the makar for this bahag? So the Ramban learns in the bahag that it's a understanding that the bahag had, like the concept of Ma'aser Shabbos. Just like you have Ma'aser Shabbos, you have an Issa B'Yayim. Same thing is over here is by Oisav Es Benoi. The understanding, the Bahag knew somehow that the Chazal had the same Gzera. But there are those that want to say that there's another makar. There's a brayso that's a raya, and they want to say that maybe it's not out that. The chiluk would be Ma'aser Shabbos has specific halachas, legabi a shoygeg, legabi other people, different kinds of isurim, and the shaila is if you start to the halachas of Ma'aser Shabbos, legabi this bahag's issa of eating it oisayim. Okay, so to more about the raya is from kachim, because by kachim it won't be a raya lachila. I don't remember exactly the raya. Okay, anyway, because so to more about let's move on. So anyway, chulin b'chutz shneim ksherim. V'asheni sefik zabayim. On the second one, you're gonna get regular malchus for oisves b'nai kachim machutz. If you did both of them kachim machutz, so this is a regular issa chorus of shechting kachim machutz. So rishon chayiv chorus. First one you chayiv chorus for regular shchutei chutz, and ushneim psulim. Right, because kachim bachotz are both possible. Ushneim soifkin es aboyin. So now, why is only the first one chayiv kares and the second one you're not chayiv kares? Because the first one was roi pesach hamoed, but the second one, since it's mechus zman, so it's not roi pesach hamoed. So there's no issa kares on shchutei chutz. But oisves b'nai is not totally in roy or not roy lachila, not roy lachila. So the first one I'm going to get malchus for what, for shchutei chutz, and the second one I'm going to get malchus for what, for oisves b'nai. Now there is a big shmooze that Tveres Yisrael, they're very very busy with this Mishnah, because it's mashma that you're going to get kares and malchus. How you talking? You get kares and malchus in this Mishnah? Yeah, I ain't shom a lot of Torah. Maybe it means some. There's a meiri that says. The Meiri that says that it means depends if you're going to get. In other words, you're right to get one. Depends if they were Masil or Malchus or they were Masil or Chorus. There's different eights over here. How can you get Chorus and Malchus on the same thing? Right. So more right. Chulin b'fnim. Let's say I did chulin b'fnim, so shneim psulim, because chulin b'fnim is possible. V'asheni sefik zabayim again, right? And the second one you're going to be sefik zabayim for what? For oisves b'nai, right? You don't need roy l'pesach hamoed. Avada you're gonna get malchus on the second one. Come out in every single case, yeah. Kachim b'fnim. If you did kachim b'fnim, so rishon kasher upater. First one is perfect. It's kachim b'fnim. V'asheni sefik zabayim apostle. So the second one is sefik zabayim al soisves b'nai apostle because of what? Of mechus zman. Chulin. Now it gets, that was set number one. That was two chulin, two kachim, two kachim. Right? That was. I'm sorry. Two chulin, two kachim, two kachim, two chulin. Right? That's how we did it. Again, chulin b'chutz. We did chulin chutz, kachim chutz, chulin kachim, and then we did chulin pnim and kachim pnim. Yeah, so we did chulin kachim. Now it's like the Gemara. Now collect the Gemara. Chulin v'kachim b'chutz. Chulin v'kachim b'chutz. So the first one he did chulin b'chutz. He's going to rishon is kasher upater because it's regular. What's wrong? Chulin b'chutz. V'asheni sefik zabayim al soisves b'nai, but possible because it's mechus zman. Chulin v'kachim kachim v'chulin b'chutz. What happens if you reverse it? The first one was kachim b'chutz, and the second one was chulin b'chutz. So rishon chayiv kares upasul al shchutei chutz, and it's not yet oisves b'nai. V'asheni kasher, and the second one is going to be kasher because why? Kasher because it's regular chulin b'chutz, it's no problem. But the problem is also oisves b'nai. Shneim sefik zabayim. The first one is going to get malchus out what? Out kachim b'chutz, and the second one's going to get malchus out. The second one's going to get malchus out oisves b'nai. Chulin v'kachim b'fnim. If you did chulin and kachim Now we're going inside. Chulin v'kachim b'fnim. So the first one was chulin b'fnim. The second was kachim b'fnim. So shneim psulim. The first one is possible because it's chulin b'fnim. The second one is possible because it's mechus zman. V'asheni sevik zabayim. Right, the second one you're going to get malchus. The first one you're not going to get malchus for. There's no malchus for chulin b'fnim. But the second one you're going to get malchus also is vesminay. Kachim v'chulin b'fnim. If I reverse it, I did kachim first v'chulin b'fnim. So rishon kachim potter, it's a regular carbon, it's good. V'asheni sevik zabayim for v'oisav vesminay upasul. It's possible because it's chulin b'fnim. Now we're gonna change. So that was the second set. That was where it was chulin v'kachim or kachim v'chulin. Now we're gonna go to a variation where we're gonna have chulin b'chutz b'fnim. I changed spots of where I was doing it. Chulin b'chutz u'b'fnim. Now over here. Chulin b'chutz b'fnim. Let's say the first chulin b'chutz and the second one b'fnim. Arishayin it's kosher upater. So it's perfect. Regular chulin. V'asheni sevik zabayim upasul because the second one was chulin b'fnim. So it's pasul because it's b'fnim. And sevik zabayim also is vesbenai. Kachim b'chutz u'b'fnim. If I did kachim b'chutz u'b'fnim. So Arisha chayiv kares. Arisha is chayiv kares. Shneim sevik zabayim. Right, the first one, the first one is regular shchutei chutz, so sofik nesabayim al shchutei chutz, and the second one is going to be kachim b'fnim, which I get oisav es benoi, and the shneim psulim. The first one's possible because it was kachim b'chutz, and the second one's possible because why? Because it's mechus zman. Chol and b'fnim u'bachos. If I did chulin b'fnim, so now I did chulin b'fnim or b'chutz. Chulin first b'fnim, and then the second one b'chutz. So arishayin pasul upater because I did b'fnim, so it's pasul, but I don't get malchus for it. V'asheni sevik zabayim malchus v'esbenai v'kasher because it's chulin b'chutz. Kachem b'fnim u'b'chutz. If I did kachim b'fnim u'b'chutz, so rishon kasher u'pater, v'asheni sevik zabayim u'pasul because it's kachim b'chutz. I'm not going to be chayiv kares because why? Because it's kachim b'chutz. It ain't really love the pasal and wait. It's mechus zman, and I'm going to get malchus also is vesbenai. So bottom line is I'm always going to get malchus on the second one. There's no case that I don't get malchus on the second one, and but b'chutz there's going to be an issue. Okay, yeah, that's the Gemara. So the Gemara right to Rabbanim. How do I know that Oisves Benai is Mekdashim? So we read Ois a little bit. The Tosis asked the kasha. Tosis is very bothered by this Gemara's kasha. What would that have mean that there's no Oisves Benai by Mekdashim? Tosis Lipsoif says that the teretz is really what the Gemara is going to say is to have him at one point in the drasha because it says in the drasha it says vishar, which is mashma, it's hifsakanyan, and that's what the Gemara, and that's why the Gemara needs a pasuk. The Gemara asked the kasha. In other words, the Gemara knew part of the drasha that the Brisa knew part of the drasha that it's going to introduce. That's how Tosis ultimately learns. But Tosis does behandle a shmuz legabe a shmuz of essay say. There's a lot to lumdav about it. And we mentioned the Ram Shif. The Ram Shif says that we're not clear. The Gemara is not clearing about the Ikka Isser. Avadi there'll be an Isser, but the question is, how do I know that it has a din because it's man that it's not roi for kachim? It says Shari Kesavoy is Kivaled Uksiv Basre Vishara Oisa Vesbinali Loisa Shkatrubiam Echod. So they say it right next to each other. That since they're close to each other, maybe we should say it's Dafka Midashim not Bechulun. So tomorrow, Shar Hifsaganian. Why did the Torah have to say Vishara Oisa Vesbinali Loisa Shkatrubiam? We already talking about Shara Kesavoy is Kivaled. We already had that halacha. So why did I have to say the shara iseh or iseh vesbenai? We're already talking about shara iseh, right? The teretz is it was hefsek inyan. It's a new thing. Now Tosa says this is when the Brisa started. It was based on this yediyah of shara hefsek inyan. Then afterwards the Brisa just set it up differently. Frankly, more ve'ema b'chulin ve'mukdashim loy. And maybe I would think that it's taka only by chulin because it's hefsek. No, ksiv vishar vav moisval inyan rishon. Now that it says vav moisval inyan rishon, imag. Right, so since it says vav moisval in Yerisha, so Mamela we know that it's Saiba Kachim and Saiba Chulin. So the shar is Hifsek Inyan, so I know it's not Dafka by Kachim, and the vav says is vav moisval in Yerisha, so I know that it's Noig by both. That is how we dash it. Frankly, Gemara Ima Kachim Klayim Loy Af Oisav Es Benoy Klayim Loy. Yeah. Now it's an interesting zach that the Gemara wants to learn up from Kachim, and we only learn out the Gabe Klayim. But for some reason, we're not asking about any other is, and they're going to talk about why the Gemara didn't clear about anything else. But what's the shayla about Klein? That if let's say Allah Matanya, why does it say? Why do we have a brayso? It is noig b'klayim b'kvi, and but it's not noig. But avada kachim are not noig by klayim. So why how did we have klayim by kachim? And the Gemara says v'oid sexiv. In other words, we're really asking another question on klayim, not really a shaykhis to our Gemara. But again, where's klayim come from? Again, how should klayim come from? L'chura, it says se. Since it says shor oiseh oisves b'noi l'sishchatu b'yamecha, it says se. V'amar Rava, and Rava says zeh b'nei av. The pasuk says sex of and v'seizim. Why does it have to say sex of and v'seizim? We should just say sex of and v'izim. It says sex of and v'seizim. So Rava zeh b'nei av kol makom shenei maseh eini elo l'hoitzias haklayim. That if it says se, it's dafka sex sovim or seizim. It can't be a se habab min aksovim u'meneizim. So the Gemara amakra oy l'rabbi saklayim. That what are we doing? Oy is l'rabbi saklayim. You want to be mamshach?